ASMR Reality, and tonight I am going to be talking to you about goals. And I'm holding the mic for the first time in hopes that I can stay just a little bit closer to it for you. An extreme close-up. Given that today is January 1st, and many of us have set some New Year's resolutions, I figured that talking about goals would be a good topic for tonight. Yeah, most of you know that it's not as easy as it sounds to just say this is what I want to do this year and then have it magically happen. Sadly, it just doesn't work that way. It takes a lot of effort. It takes concentration. It takes dedication. It takes discipline. These are the primary attributes that you will need to accomplish your goals if you want to succeed. It's funny because I've read studies where gyms will show that they get a majority of their memberships at the first of the year, and the gyms are always busiest in January. That's the busiest month of the year for gyms because many people just don't last much through that first month when trying to accomplish their physical goals. And it's not just physical goals that people fail at, it's financial goals. Pretty much every goal, people just stop. They're motivated for a little bit at the first of the year because it's like a reset, and then inevitably it just falls away. They give up, and that's the sad thing about it. But I will say this, for those of you that have set New Year's goals and not achieved them, I would much rather deal with a person that has set goals and failed to reach them than deal with someone who didn't set any goals in the first place. Because to me, that is the worst place to be, to not have any goal. And I feel like what a goal does is it gives you a something to reach for. So you set this objective, something out here that you don't have, and every morning you wake up, you can see it. You can picture it in your mind. You know that's what you want, and you know that's what you're working for. And you go get it. That's the key. I've heard of this done before. I've only done it in an exercise when I was actually going through my real estate classes. They had us do a vision board, and on this vision board we put all the things that we wanted, whether it was a family, whether it was a new car, whether it was a new house, whether it was a specific watch or some sort of item that you wanted, whether it was a certain amount of money. You put pictures of whatever you wanted. Was it a dream vacation? So you put an ocean picture, whatever it is you wanted, you would put on this vision board. And then you would put that vision board in front, somewhere front and center of your life. So every morning you woke up, the first thing that you were to do was to look at this vision board. So you can see and say, okay, these are the things that I want. This is why today I'm going to work diligently and focus on what I need to get done in order to try to accomplish the goals that I want to accomplish in life. And I don't think it's a bad idea, because for me, I never really used it because I had them. I'm a very visual person. It's in my mind, and I'm also self-motivated, where for example, when I work out, I don't go to a gym. Some people need to be around other people to help motivate them to work out. They need to go somewhere so they're around people. Some people just like to be seen. But for me, my job is so social that when I come home, I isolate. I don't go out. So I'm very social at my job, but in my personal life, I'm an introvert. And I feel like that extrovert job with an introvert private life just makes me a really balanced person. But for other people, I'm not criticizing people that need to go to the gym to work out. I'm just kind of giving that as an example. You may work out at home. You may work out at the gym. I do think that physical goals are important because health is important. Because to me, if your goals are just financial, what good are they if you're not going to live very long to enjoy them anyway? So health is critical. Health is number one. So we focus on that. And then I think finances are important because I think, let's say, for example, if you put relationships ahead of finances, if you've got a relationship, but you have financial problems, the relationship is going to have problems, because I think the number one reason that relationships fall apart is due to finances. So I feel like the other thing is, if you're a man and you're trying to get a woman, if you're poor, it's going to be hard, because you need to really have a game plan of where you are or where you want to go before you ask somebody to come with you. So I think as a man, it's important for you to have a vision for your life and to know where you're going. Now, you don't have to have it already, but as long as you are set and you are on your way and you know what you're doing, at that point, then it's time that you could ask somebody to come with you. So yeah, it just depends on what your goals are, but I think that the key to keeping them is truly, the number one key to keeping them is discipline. And I think that this is where so many people fall short, because it's very hard to stay motivated. I think motivation is overrated in a sense, because it's impossible, at least in my belief, it's impossible to stay motivated. But it's not impossible to stay disciplined. And anytime I suffer from a lack of motivation, my discipline makes me do it anyway. And once I've done it, like for example, working out, if I'm not motivated to work out and I just suffer through it and do it anyway, once I've done it, that motivation comes back, because I've got that sense of accomplishment. I've got that sense of pride that I did the right thing. I did what I was supposed to do, and I worked out. So, and it's the same with work. There's so many times, for example, in my line of work, I'll do an open house. I'll meet 3 or 4 people at the open house on a Sunday, for example. Monday or Tuesday, I should follow up with those people and just say, hey, I want to say thank you for coming to the open house. Did you have any other questions? And inevitably, every Monday or Tuesday, I look at those names and I'm like, because rarely do those turn into deals. So, but sometimes they do. And sometimes, I have had people call me 8 months later and say, hey Derek, this is so-and-so. Do you remember me? I came to one of your open houses. And I'm like, I don't remember them from nobody. I have no clue who they are. But because I met them and then I followed up with them, I was able to let them see that I cared. And so because so many other agents don't do it. And I think that that's kind of the point I'm trying to make here, is that you've got to do the things that other people won't do. That's really the key. It's doing the things that others won't. You know, because 90% of people are they're gonna work out for 2 weeks and they're gonna quit. And maybe 10% will keep going. And maybe 8% will quit in February or March, but 2% of people will continue through and stay disciplined, stay focused, and accomplish their goals this year. So it's really, in my opinion, like, it's easy to succeed in this life because so many people don't. So many people won't. There are so many people in this world right now that just, they use excuses. Like, I'll give you one, for example. So many people this year were talking about interest rates going up and the stock market was going to tank. So they're like, not invest. Oh, that's all this negativity. The stock market's going to go down and things aren't selling because interest rates are high. Guess what? We hit an all-time stock market record like a week and a half ago. The highest it's ever been in the history of mankind. And so for those people that were just negative, you know, people are saying, oh, the economy's horrible. Look, I get it, like, groceries are expensive and things like, yeah, but there's 3% unemployment. Every place I know is hiring. Every place I know, they want good people. And because the people they have just aren't working hard enough, or they're not doing enough for them. So to me, there are so many opportunities. I watched a video today of an Uber Eats driver, and he says he works about 60 hours a week and he makes about $1,000 a week. But he said, I'm going to work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and see just how much money I can make. I'll put a link to that video in the description of this video, so if you want to watch it, I'll have a link to it in the description. But he made $2,000, and he breaks it down by working 12 hours a day, and all he's doing is driving, picking up food at a restaurant, taking it to a person's house. Now, he has to pay for gas, but I think he said he spent like $39 in gas or something like that. So that's awesome money for an easy job. So that's just one thing you could do. I mean, there's so many opportunities out there. This world is just full of things you can do if you're trying to get ahead, as far as like side hustles. If maybe you're working at a job and you're just trying to get a promotion, you've got to start doing the things that you know are going to impress your supervisors or your managers or the owner of the company, just whoever you report to. You've got to be doing things better. I turned the mic. I hope I didn't turn it off very long. Let me check something real quick. Yeah, I didn't. Okay. I thought I accidentally hit the microphone off, but I wasn't talking at the time, so that's good. And anyway, I want to tell you like a really motivational story. And this is about Sylvester Stallone, the guy that played Rocky in the movie Rocky. So most people don't know this, but he actually wrote that screenplay. He not only was Rocky, he starred in that movie. There's several. If you just Google the Rocky story, there's lots of people that tell the story, and there may even be a video of him telling it himself. But Tony Robbins does a really good job telling the story. And what happened is basically that Sylvester Stallone was dirt poor, like poverty poor, and he was married. And I'm gonna paraphrase the story and just skip over a lot of parts, but he was so poor, and his wife and him were struggling so bad, like they were struggling to have enough food to eat. And so he actually pawned some of his wife's jewelry, and of course she hated him for that. But they needed food, And that's what he did, was took some of her jewelry to the pawn shop and pawned it. He also had a dog that he could barely afford to feed, and he said this dog was like his best friend. He loved that dog probably more than he loved his wife, and inevitably his wife left him as he was struggling, and he was struggling to find acting jobs because he was trying to become an actor. And he was getting minor parts, but they weren't paying the bills. And so his wife left. And so it was just him and his dog. And he had no money to feed the dog. So he took that dog down to the liquor store by his house. And he tried to sell the dog. And so as people would come by, like he would try to sell it. And then he finally found a guy that was willing to buy it. And he tried to sell him for like $200. And the guy said, no, I won't pay that. Finally, like, they negotiated all the way down. He sold the dog for $50. And he said it was like one of the worst days of his life because he had literally sold his best friend, but he couldn't afford to feed him, and he just was devastated. He felt like a horrible man. He felt like useless as a human being. And one of his friends, shortly after that, had invited him to a boxing match. And when he decided to go because it was at least warm there, he didn't have heat in his house, and he would go to the public library just to get warm. And he was starting to read a lot of books because he was going to the library just for heat. But he went to that boxing match that night, and he said he was so inspired by the fight that he went home that night and didn't sleep. And he wrote the Rocky screenplay in 24 hours in one setting without sleeping. And he knew that he had something amazing. And so he was super motivated and excited because he knew this was the key to his financial success. And so he started going to movie producers and trying to sell the movie. And everybody he took it to, they wanted it. But they didn't want him to be Rocky. And so he said, I was not going to sell it without me being Rocky, but they didn't want to pay big money for the screenplay if he was Rocky. So they had offered him like $100,000 for this screenplay, but they said, well, you cannot be Rocky. We are not going to pay $100,000. You be Rocky. So he left. Well, they called him back and they said, okay, we will pay you $300,000, but you cannot be Rocky. You will not be Rocky. Finally, they went up to like $350,000 for the screenplay, but they wanted Ryan O'Neal to be Rocky, not Sylvester Stallone. They were like, you're just some like Italian guy and you talk with the side of your mouth. And so they were like, no, you cannot be Rocky. But he said, I'm not selling this unless I get to be Rocky. And so finally what they agreed upon was they would only give him $25,000. That's it, $25,000 if he was going to be Rocky, because they said, you're going to take the risk with us if it's going to work or not. And that's what he agreed to do. Now, once he got paid the $25,000, the first thing he did was he went to that liquor store and started watching for that guy that bought his dog. And it took him like 3 days, and eventually the guy came by with the dog, and he tried to buy the dog back, and the guy would not sell the dog for anything. Finally, but he was persistent, and he kept trying, and finally he was able to buy the dog back for $5,000, and he had to give the guy a part in the movie. So that guy that had the dog is actually in the movie, and the dog in the movie, Butkus, is his dog that he bought back. So, but he said something when he was talking about going through that unbelievable hard time. He said something that has really stuck with me my whole life since I heard that story. And he said the greatest revenge is massive success, because he did love his wife, but his wife didn't have faith in him, and his wife would not stick by his side while he was struggling. when we take marriage vows, we say for better, for worse. But he was obviously in worse there. But what happened? The guy became unbelievably successful. I mean, he's not just a millionaire. He has hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Could very well be a billionaire. I don't know. But needless to say, he's ultra rich and does not struggle with money anymore. So definitely he got his revenge. And just made an unbelievable successful life after just writing that. And then from there forward, he made multiple more Rocky movies. He wrote all the Rambo movies and starred in them as well. He writes the Expendable movies and stars in them. So the guy's ultra talented, but a lot of people just think he's an actor, but he's much more than that. So I just tell you that story because it's very inspirational. And it's like another thing I found out the other day that not Lawrence Fishburne, Samuel L. Jackson did not even try to get into acting until he was 40 years old. So you think maybe it's too late to accomplish the goals you want. No, it's not too late. It's never too late. You're never too old. You can do anything. Now, if you're 5 foot, you're not going to play in the NBA. But within reason, anything you want can happen, So I just hope you guys will be very diligent with the things that you want to accomplish. I hope that you'll be smart about it. I hope you'll be disciplined. I hope that I know it'll be hard, very hard sometimes, but I want you all to succeed, and I want you to know that I'm here for you if you ever have any questions or anything in the comments, because for me, I was able to accomplish my goals in life. My goal was to be retired, and that's all I ever thought about. First was getting out of debt. My big vision that I went for was I want to get out of debt. And once I got there, I needed a new goal, and that new goal was just retiring. And then I was able to get that. In March of 2019, I retired from my last career, and I was retired. And when I accomplished that, I was just like, I felt like Andy Dufresne in Shawshank Redemption when he climbs out of that hole, the gutter. It's like I felt so free, and I felt so proud that I accomplished my goal. But what happened was, I realized that that's not really what I wanted. I got there, and it wasn't really what I wanted, so I pivoted, and I got into real estate. I started another career, and I've been highly successful here. So it's all in. Everything you want is possible. You just have to be committed. You have to be devoted. You have to be disciplined, and you can get it. You can do whatever you want. And I want that for you. I want you guys to all be happy and to all succeed. And just know I'm here for you, and I appreciate you watching. I wish you the best, and I will see you soon. Good night.